to Deep Stories. We want to share a story today about a king. So this king, he was a very wise king. He started learning the book of Tehillim, the Psalms of David. The priests told him that the Jewish people use the book of Tehillim in two manners. One is that whenever they have trouble, they learn Tehillim and cry to God. And when they have joy, they learn Tehillim and they pray to God through Tehillim, both joy and trouble. The priests did not know why. So the king reached the verse where it says that 1,000 years in your eyes, Hashem, is like one day that passes like yesterday. The king asked the priests, what is the meaning of this verse? And they did not know how to answer him. They said, our master the king, send for the rabbi of the Jews, and let's hear how he can answer this verse. He sends for the rabbi, the head rabbi, chief rabbi. He asks him what the verse means. 1,000 years, God, in your eyes are like yesterday that passes. And the rabbi says, oh, it's like this. The king says, I don't want you to tell me your parables. I want you to show me experientially with my vision. I want to see. The rabbi does not know how to answer the king. He says, can you give me some time? The king says, I'll give you 10 days. If you do not give me an answer by those 10 days, I am going to really make trouble for the Jews. I want a good answer. And he meant, the rabbi was really worried. He didn't know what to do. He went to his room. He's crying. He's praying. He didn't want anyone to know from the community. He didn't want to give them bad news. He went to a room alone. He's asking mercy from God. One of his friends came for a very important matter. The rabbi opens the door. The friend sees him crying extensively, and he's facing the heavens, and he says, what's happening, Rabbi? What's happening? What's the matter today for all other days? The rabbi tells him what's going on with his king. The friend says, Rabbi, the crown of our head, don't worry, Hashem will help. I'll go tomorrow to the king. I will fulfill his request. Don't worry, Israel is not a widow. We have a God amongst us. We're not alone. The next day, around noon, the king had a meeting, and all of the ministers that were closest to the king were in council with the king in the matters of the country. And they're speaking, and they see a poor Jew entering and standing there, and they're astonished. How did this poor Jew enter? How did they give him permission to enter? And especially with his clothing, they asked him, who are you? What are you doing here? He says, I'm a Jew, and I came to fulfill the king's request, that he wanted an answer to this verse of Tehillim, of Psalm. All of a sudden, the king falls into a deep sleep. He puts his head on the table, and everyone was scared. They don't want to wake up the king. They're all silent. So the Jew says to the ministers, I want you all to show me what time it is. They all answered. They said, okay, it's now 10 o'clock. I'm sorry, was it noon? I made a mistake. It was 10. So, in the meantime, the king is sleeping. They're all sitting there silently. All of a sudden, the king wakes up like a madman, screaming, where is my talit? Where is my tefillin? Where is my wife? Where are my children? The ministers are a little shocked. They don't know the answer. Why does the king want a talit and tefillin? He's not Jewish. The Jew opens his mouth and says to them, don't be worried. You don't know what the king dreamed. The king looks and wants to hear what the Jew has to say. The Jew says the king had a dream that there was a very big, heavy war with his enemy. He lost the war, and he lost more of half of his kingdom. He needed to go out to the war he himself. He's riding on a horse, and he's literally with a sword. He's in the middle of the battle. 3 sides surround the king, and he sees he's in great danger. He needs to run away. He goes on his horse and he escapes very far. He hears them chasing after him, and they say, he's here, he's here. He's so scared. He starts riding up on a mountain. He's going super fast. He sees himself inside of a huge city. He's tired. He's hungry. He goes into a store to buy bread, and the storekeeper says to him, this is a Jewish city. We're not allowed to sell anything to a non-Jew. He sees an oven full of bread. He says, please just sell me a loaf of bread. Even I'll pay you a lot of money. I'm starving. Master of the store says, don't you know that we cannot sell to non-Jews? So the king sees a Jew passing by him, who he knew. He said, what can I do? I'm hungry. I'm tired. He says, you have no choice. You have to convert, become Jewish, and then everything will be good for you. He took him to the Beit Din, to the court of the Jews. They converted him. They gave him a room with all the things he needed. They brought him good food. He's learning with them the entire Torah. He gets married to a Jewish woman. Within 4 years, he had 3 children. And every morning, he would wake up early, stay very late at the synagogue that was close to his house. One day, after prayer, he's coming back. He sees that all of the people of the city, the men, the women, the children, are all running to the mountains that are there. He asked them, why are you running away? They told him, don't you know that every 70 years the river comes up, washes everything away? We get flooded. And that's why we go to that high mountain. So he runs away with them. He starts screaming, where's my wife? Where's my children? Where did I leave my talit? Where did I leave my tefillin? And that's how he woke up asleep. The Jew says to the ministers, what time is it now? This is back into the reality when the Jew is talking about, not telling them about the dream. They see that the time was exactly 11 o'clock. So the Jew says to the king, you asked, how could 1,000 years be like a day for God? And now I ask you, could it be that in 1 hour all these things happen to you? The king said, honored Jew, I know that the God of the Jews is great and awesome, and he has a special place in his heart for the Jews, as it were. And now, from now on, I fear God. I will take care of all the Jews with wide open eyes. I won't harm them at all. And all of a sudden, the man disappeared, and they realized that this wasn't just a friend of the rabbi. This guy was an angel. And at that night, he comes to the friend of the rabbi, comes to him in a dream and told him everything that happened, and that the decree had been nullified. And there was a great sanctification of God's name. And when the Jews heard about this, they really came back to God in a stronger way. So when we do listen to the wise people of the generation, Hashem saves us, and we don't need to have trouble. And that's the idea. We just want to stay close to God. We don't have to have trouble to come close to God. We should stay close to God even when it's good, so we should have no problems. God bless you all.